The silence in the holding cell was absolute, broken only by the soft, rhythmic hum of the prison ship's engines. Captain Ava Rostova sat on the cold metal bench, her uniform stripped of its rank and insignia, her gaze fixed on the blank wall. 3 weeks ago, she had been the commander of the Vanguard, the flagship of Earth's exploratory fleet. Now, she was a prisoner, branded a warmonger and a threat to galactic peace. The door to her cell hissed open. A Xylosian guard with its multifaceted eyes and thin, lipless mouth gestured with its 4-fingered hand. "The Council will see you now, human." Eva rose slowly, her movements deliberate. She was led through a maze of gleaming corridors, the advanced technology of the Galactic Council a stark contrast to the utilitarian cells. The ship belonged to the Council's security force, and a neutral entity meant to enforce their laws. Laws she was accused of breaking. The Council chamber was a vast, circular room. At its center, a ring of towering figures sat on elevated platforms, representing a dozen different species. The air hummed with a low-frequency energy that made Ava's skin prickle. In the center of the room, a holographic display showed a star map, with one system highlighted in angry red. Sul, Earth. Supreme Counselor Zor, a being of immense age and crystalline appearance, spoke first. His voice resonated not in the air, but directly within their minds. "Captain Ava Rostova, you stand accused of preparing a military offensive against sovereign galactic states in direct violation of the Galactic Non-Interference and Peace Accord signed by your own species a mere 50 cycles ago." Eva stood straight, and her chin raised. "I stand accused of preparing a defensive action against a known threat, a threat this council has chosen to ignore." A scoff came from the reptilian Qatar delegate. "Your threat is a paranoid fantasy. The Sylph are a minor race, barely capable of interstellar travel. They pose no danger to anyone." "They are not a race," Eva countered, her voice calm but firm. "They are a swarm, a hive mind consuming everything in its path. We have data, telemetry from deep space probes, sensor logs from our own scout ships that witnessed the complete annihilation of the Orin colony. They don't conquer, they consume. Biological and mineral resources, everything." "Propaganda," hissed the insectoid delegate from the Vespin Commonwealth. "You humans are expansionist by nature. You seek a pretense to militarize, to build a war fleet under the guise of defense. You are a young, volatile species. The Council has been lenient, but your actions now threaten the stability of the entire galactic community." "The Orin were a client race of the Qatar," Eva pointed out. "Their destruction is a fact. Ask your own intelligence service." The Qatar delegate shifted uncomfortably, but remained silent. Counselor Zor's mental voice boomed, silencing the murmurs. "The Council has investigated your claims. We have detected no unusual Sylph activity. They remain within their designated space. The Orin colony, regrettably, was lost to an internal catastrophe. A stellar flare. Your interpretation of the data is creative." Eva's eyes narrowed. She knew what she had seen. The Sylph ships weren't constructed. They were grown, as organic and metallic in a horrifying fusion. They didn't use weapons. They simply enveloped. "You're lying," she said quietly, "or you're blind. The Sylph are a cancer, and they will spread. We are building the Armada not to conquer, but to survive. We are asking for your help, for a united front. Instead, you imprison me." "We are not blind, Captain." Zor's voice was cold. "We are prudent. Your fleet, this Armada as you call it, is a violation of the Accord. You have retrofitted freighters, constructed new warships, and trained millions of soldiers. This cannot be tolerated. The Council has passed its judgment." The holographic display changed. It showed a massive construction site in the asteroid belt, a grainy image likely taken by a spy drone. Dozens of massive hulls were taking shape, bristling with weaponry. "Your planet will disarm," Zor declared. All military vessels will be surrendered to the Council for decommissioning. All military personnel will be stood down. Earth will be placed under protective observation for a period of no less than 100 cycles, to ensure its compliance with galactic law. A shocked silence filled the room, broken only by Eva's sharp intake of breath. "You can't be serious. You're leaving us defenseless." "We are ensuring peace," the Vespan delegate corrected. "You should be thanking us. We are saving you from your own destructive impulses." "You're condemning us," Ava whispered, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. They weren't stupid. They weren't blind. They were complicit. They had made a deal. The Sylph were consuming the edges of the galaxy, consuming the races the Council deemed expendable, buying the core worlds more time. And humanity, a young upstart race with a rapidly growing fleet, was the next logical sacrifice to appease the insatiable swarm. "Take her away," Zor commanded. "She will be transported to the rehabilitation colony on Proxima Centauri, where she will live out her life in peaceful contemplation of the harmony she sought to disrupt." As the guard took her arm, Ava looked back at the assembled council. "You have no idea what you've done," she said, her voice filled not with anger, but with a profound, chilling sorrow. "You've not saved anyone. You've just ensured that when the Sylph come for you, there will be no one left to stand with you." Her words hung in the air long after the door slid shut behind her. The delegates avoided each other's eyes. The sentence was passed. Earth was to be disarmed. But back in the Sol system, the message from the Council was received with a mixture of disbelief and cold fury. The civilian government, always more trusting of the galactic community, was in turmoil. But the military, the engineers, and the people who had seen the long-range telemetry, who had heard Eva's impassioned pleas before her capture, they saw the truth. They saw betrayal. The order to disarm was met with defiance. It was not a rebellion against the government, but an act of survival against a galaxy that had just condemned them to death. The construction in the shipyards did not stop. It accelerated. The grainy images the Council had received were already months out of date. The Armada was far larger, far more advanced than they knew. Humanity worked with a desperate, silent efficiency. They knew they were alone. They knew what was coming. And they prepared not for a war of conquest, but for the final, desperate battle for their home. 2 years passed. The Council, satisfied with their judgment and distracted by internal politics, did not follow up on Earth's compliance with any real conviction. Occasional probes were easily spoofed or destroyed, their loss attributed to navigational errors or pirate activity. The galaxy had moved on, forgetting the troublesome humans and their paranoid captain. Ava Rostova did not spend her days in peaceful contemplation. The Proxima Rehabilitation Colony was Spartan, but not cruel. She worked in the hydroponic gardens, a quiet, unassuming figure. But her mind never stopped working. She watched the stars, listened to the subtle shifts in the colony's communication relays, and waited. One evening, the emergency alarms blared. Not the practiced drills for colonists, but a deep, gut-wrenching klaxon that vibrated through the station's very frame. The artificial gravity flickered. Panicked voices filled the comms. Then silence. The Sylph had arrived. Ava saw it from a viewing port. It wasn't an invasion fleet. It was a single vessel, if it could be called that. A pulsating asymmetrical mass of organic and metallic material, larger than a city, trailing tendrils and bioluminescent sacs. It didn't fire weapons. It simply extended a massive probing appendage towards the colony, which began to dissolve on contact, the very matter of the station being absorbed into the alien mass. There were no screams, no explosions, just a silent and horrific consumption. Ava watched, mesmerized by the sheer scale of the horror she had tried to warn everyone about. She felt no fear, only a deep, aching sadness. She thought of Earth, of her crew, of the Armada. Were they already gone too? Then the Sylph ship convulsed. A ripple of sickly light ran through its bulk. It detached from the half-eaten colony, its attention turning away from the ruined habitat. It was a predator that had found a larger meal. On the long-range sensors of every galactic species, a new signature appeared, emerging from the dark space beyond the Proxima Centauri system. It was a fleet unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was Earth's Armada. It was not a collection of retrofitted freighters. It was a spear point of human determination and vengeance. At its heart was the EAS Vanguard. On a ship 10 times the size of the original, its hull a matte black that drank starlight. Hundreds of other vessels flanked it. Dreadnoughts with spinal railguns that could accelerate a slug to a significant fraction of light speed. Carriers disgorging swarms of agile fighter craft, and support ships bristling with point defense lasers. They had not built a fleet to fight a conventional war. They had built a fleet to fight a nightmare. The Sylph vessel, having detected a far richer concentration of biological and metallic resources, turned and began its slow, horrifying advance toward the human fleet. It was a confident move, the action of an apex predator that had never encountered a worthy foe. It was wrong. The human fleet did not charge. They held formation, a cool, calculating wall of steel and fire. From the Vanguard, a simple message was broadcast on all known frequencies, aimed not at the Sylph, but at the listening posts of the Galactic Council. It was the voice of Admiral Chen, the man who had led the secret construction. His words were calm, measured, and absolute. Galactic Council. This is Earth Armada Command. We are aware of your recent inactivity regarding the Sylph threat. We are also aware that your judgment against us was a death sentence, cloaked in the language of peace. Consider this communication a final notice. Earth will not be disarmed. Earth will not submit. We will defend our home and our species by any means necessary. Observe and learn what happens when you condemn a world that refuses to die. The Sylph ship opened its attack. Thousands of smaller organisms, like living torpedoes, burst from its surface and streaked toward the human line. They were fast, agile, and designed to latch onto and consume enemy vessels. The human fleet's point defense network lit up. It wasn't the sporadic, desperate fire of a species fighting for survival. It was a coordinated, interlocking symphony of destruction. Lasers pulsed in rhythmic patterns, shredding the incoming organisms into clouds of inert dust before they could get within 100 kilometers of the fleet. The Sylph had never faced automated defense systems with such precision and coverage. The Sylph vessel paused, as if confused. It had never been challenged like this. It tried a different tactic, attempting to extend its consumption tendrils across the vast distance of space, a move that had always worked against static, panicked colonies. From the human fleet, a new sound emerged, though in the vacuum of space, it was felt rather than heard. The spinal railguns of the dreadnoughts fired in unison. The kinetic projectiles, mere slivers of tungsten, crossed the distance in seconds. They were too fast for the Sylph to counter. They punched clean through the organic metallic hull, leaving gaping, perfectly round holes. The Sylph ship writhed in agony, its internal fluids and atmosphere venting into space. For the first time, a Sylph vessel had been wounded. The fight was not a battle. It was a slaughter. The human fleet advanced, maintaining perfect formation. They treated the Sylph ship not as a terrifying monster, but as a target to be systematically dismantled. Missiles with warheads designed to burn at extreme temperatures detonated inside the wounds opened by the railguns. Fighter craft, piloted by men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment, darted in and out, targeting the pulsating energy nodes that seemed to serve as the creature ship's organs. Within an hour, it was over. The Sylph vessel, the terror of a dozen worlds, was a lifeless, tumbling hulk. It did not explode in a dramatic fireball. It simply died, its internal lights fading, its monstrous form becoming cold, dead rock and metal. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The Council's long-range sensors, the very ones they had used to spy on Earth's supposed disarmament, captured every second. The delegates who had condemned Eva Rostova, who had labeled humanity as paranoid warmongers, now saw the truth. The threat was real, and humanity, the race they had tried to disarm, that had just done what no other species had ever done. They had killed a Sylph vessel. The Vanguard's message was not one of victory, however. It was a warning. This was one ship, one scouting vessel sent ahead of the main swarm. Our long-range telescopes have detected the Sylph main fleet. It is 1,200 strong, and it is on a direct course for the galactic core. It will consume every world in its path. Your worlds, your people. You had a chance to stand together. You chose to betray us. You will not get a second chance. The transmission ended. The human fleet did not return to Earth in triumph. They began to reposition, forming a defensive perimeter around their home system. They had bought time, but they knew the real storm was coming. They were alone, but they were ready. In the council chamber, the silence was deafening, and Councilor Zor's crystalline form seemed to dim. The delegates who had so confidently dismissed humanity now stared at the holographic replay of the Sylph vessel's destruction with a dawning, horrifying understanding. They had sold out the one species that could have helped them. They had betrayed humanity, and in doing so, they had likely signed their own death warrants. The first part of the story had ended with Earth condemned. The second part began with Earth's Armada arriving, not to save the galaxy, but to demonstrate a terrifying singular truth. You do not betray humanity and expect to be forgiven. The Sylph were coming for everyone, and the only hope for survival had just made it perfectly clear that they would be fighting for themselves, and themselves alone. The galaxy had made its choice. Now it would have to live or die, with the consequences.